Hello and welcome to tutorial 12. Alright, now if you still remember the challenge in tutorial 11, at the end, we talked about the challenge and I said the challenge was to get the 3 discs of each color and bring them back to the square zone. And I gave you a hint. I said it would be good to create 2 functions. One would be to get the 3 discs in return. Again, the first one first, and then second, and then third. The other function was to turn right, drive forward, 4 steps, which is 800 mils, and then turn left 90 degrees. And that's because those 2 functions were going to be repeated. So that function of collecting all the 3 discs would be repeated twice. Similarly, the turning, driving forward, and then turning would have to be repeated twice, down here and then down here when you are turning to go towards the green box. Okay, so these are the 2 functions that I talked about defining. So I basically repeated them twice. So the first thing is get the 3 discs return, then you turn, drive, turn again, and you do that again because you can collect these 3 discs, turn right, drive, turn, and then the last one you just get your 3 discs and return. Let's have a close look at how the functions actually look like. So get 3 discs and return. I'm going to move this away. Basically, similar to something that we did in the previous tutorial, I created a variable called distance. I set the value of the variable to 800 first, and then I linked that variable to how much the robot was going to drive forward. Because remember I said the program actually doesn't know what distance is. You got to link it to the right kind of statement here. So drive forward for distance. So distance here became attached to how much it was driving forward or backward. So you start with 800, and then you obviously magnetize, you pick it up, you go back the same distance, and then you demagnetize at the same time. You change your distance by 400, so it becomes 1002 the next run, and then 1006 in your next run. Okay, so that gets repeated 3 times because you got to collect 3 discs. And then your function for drive, turn, drive forward, and turn is basically turn right 90 degrees, drive forward 800, that's 4 steps, turn left 90, and then you're ready to do the next one. All right, and let's see how all these actually played out. Okay, again, it wouldn't have played out too badly. If not, I'm probably not going to run this. So let's see how this played out. Okay, so there you go, the first one. And obviously I set my velocity to 100%, but that again is going to change very soon when I go to the next tutorial. Okay, setting drive velocity to 100% works well when you're not using your sensors. When you need to use your sensors and detect things, it's probably better to go at default normal speed or even slower if possible. Again, you see that knocking on, that's not fair. See that got knocked out a bit. Okay, that happens randomly sometimes, but let's try that again. Shouldn't happen. There you go. Again, there's a bit of physics built in somehow. I realized 1 out of 20 times that happens, and it just chose to happen just now. Okay, see that disc comes in the way a bit, but it should be okay. Keeps moving to the right for some reason. It's alright so far. So it's going to turn right. First one. Second one. And then turbo. Alright, so done. Good. Alright, so that if you've done it, great job. Alright. Like I said, 1 out of 20 times it might get knocked by one of those discs for some reason. I don't know why like that happened. Out of like the last 20 times it never happened, and that happened just now, but it worked the next time I ran it. Okay, now let's look at the next task that we have. Okay, the next task that we have is basically this. I'm going to explain the task first, and then I'm going to look at some of the different things that we can use. Okay, and this is probably slightly more complicated than the other tutorials in terms of understanding the blocks and the logic behind it, but you should be better now that you've covered stuff like variables and function definition. So if you scroll down, get the disk maze, this is what you're supposed to do. Okay, so this is your disk maze. Okay, and you've got different stations down here. So if this is the view from the angle, robot starts here. You're supposed to go to different stations. So if I go to the top view, these are your different stations. You've got green, blue, a lot of green and blues, and only one red. Okay, your task is to go to each station, go to the green one first, and then whichever station you might want to choose, or however you actually program your robot to. So it will follow a certain logic and will go to different stations, and you got to visit all the stations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Before you come to the red, the moment it comes to red station, it's got to stop. So that's what you got to do. And you can't define exactly what distance to move. So you can't like, okay, move 1008, turn right, move 400, turn left, move. You can't do that. Okay, you've got to use your sensor to detect the color. So that's what this task is about. So we're going to use our sensors for the first time. Okay, so let's look at this angle. We're going to use a sensor to detect the color of each station. Okay, again, you might use either the front eye sensor. You've got, if you look at your robot, you've got a down eye and you've got a front eye, which can actually detect color. It can also detect the distance. Okay, but we're going to go for color now. Sorry, not this one. Talk about this one. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, and at each station you've got like a small colored mat, and you've got disc that's vertical. So that's horizontal. That can be detected with the down eye. That the one that's horizontal can be detected with the front eye. Okay, so you can either use the front eye or the down eye. Again, each one has its own merits. You might want to decide later on which one's better for you. Okay, we'll go back to that arena later on, but again, that's your task. Visit all the 8 stations, come back to the red, and then stop moving. And don't crash into any of the stations, obviously. Okay, so we're going to look at a few different blocks, okay? A few different things here. The first thing I'm going to look at is a while loop. A while loop is almost like a forever loop, except that it runs while a certain condition is true. Okay, whereas a forever loop would run forever. So what do I mean by that? For example, you might have like while, and then let's try and use one of these. Again, these ones are from the sensing. So we go to sensing, front eye detects red. That's where I got it from. Okay, if while, if else while loops, these are from control loops. Again, you'd find them here. If while. Okay, so while loop is something like while you've got a certain condition, then carry out these steps. So almost like forever, but you got to have this condition for it to carry out. If not, you can probably have a command at the bottom of the while loop. It will run that command. Okay, but it will only run the commands in the while loop while that condition is true. Let's give a certain example. Okay, let's see. Look at this. Now let's see. Let's try and do this. Okay, so while I'm not detecting red, I'm sorry, I'm not detecting green, I want to drive forward. And the moment I detect green, I want to turn right. And that's it. I'm going to turn right and stop. So how do I do that? So while it doesn't detect green, so I've got front eye detects green. Again, you can scroll and change the colors. So it detects green. I'm going to put it in a not operator. Again, you can get these operators down here. Okay, so you want to invert the condition, you put it into a not operator. So while front eye does not detect green, that's what it means. Okay, bring this down. Okay, while it's not detecting green, I'm going to drive forward. Else, the moment it detects green, I want it to turn right. Okay, and let's see if this works. Okay, so it's driving forward. The moment it sees green, it turns right. Okay, so that works fine. But in this case, the while condition, the loop is only running one command inside. Okay, so now I'm going to look at an if-else statement. Now, an if-else statement is not a loop. So it basically works for a moment. So if I've got an if-else statement, so if I say, for example, if front eye detects green, what do you want it to do? If you detect green, then you turn right. If not, you just want to drive forward. Let's see if this one works. Okay, so if I detect green, I turn right. If not, I drive forward. Let's see if this one works like the while loop that we talked earlier. So I'm going forward. Oh no, it's crashing. It's crashing under the green disk, and it is supposed to crash. Trust me, it's meant to crash. That's why I showed you this, because I want to explain why it doesn't work. Basically, okay, the reason why it doesn't work is because An if-else statement only runs for the moment when the program is started. It's not within a loop. So the moment you start it, and you see that's not being, nothing is being highlighted here. It's activated for that moment only, and after that, once you're driving forward, it's not activated anymore. So this if-else needs to be within a loop. Okay, it's flipping badly. Okay, all right. So you can't have an if-else unless you've got a forever loop or a while loop. Okay, if not, it only this condition only works the moment you just release, you press the play button. For that moment, after that, it doesn't hold. This condition doesn't make any sense anymore. So you don't put an if-else condition unless it's within a while loop or a forever loop, okay, or some other sort of loop. So let's see if I've got a while. Okay, I've got while. So let me put my not. While front eye is not detecting blue, let's have that. Okay. So while it's not detecting this blue, then I put an if-else. Okay. Then if the front eye detects green, turn right. If not, drive forward. And then if it detects blue, then you stop driving. Make sense? So while it's not detecting blue, if it detects green, turn right. If not, drive forward. And then while this condition is not true, which means it detects blue, then you stop driving. So it should come here, turn right, see the blue, and then stop. Okay, let's see if this works. There you go. You see that? That's being highlighted. Detects green, turns right, drives forward. That is being detected. So it's no longer under the not detect blue because it's detecting blue now. It will stop driving. It will go out of the while loop. It will stop driving. Alright, so now you know how to use your while loop. You know how to use an if-else loop. Okay? And you know how to put a condition inside the if. You know how to put a condition in the while. Now another thing I want to highlight is you can have multiple if-else statements within a single if-else. So I can have an if-else statement and I can put another if-else. We call this a nested if-else, which basically means you're creating 3 different conditions. But remember, every time you've got multiple conditions, make sure the conditions do not overlap. Okay, for example, you might have, let's just use a real life example. I love doing that. All right, so for example, if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we go out to the beach. If it's Thursday, Friday, we go out swimming. If it's Saturday, Sunday, we go to the movies. So they don't overlap. They're all different days. In this case, you might have, if it's green, do this. If it's blue, do this. If it's something else, do that. If it's white space, do something else. Okay, so make sure your conditions don't overlap. Now let's have a look at this. Let's cover all these things. And now that you know these different blocks, let's have a look at this map, and I'll give you a clue as to how to solve this. Now, just one more thing is you can use your front eye or your down eye. I talked about that, so you can choose. Okay, your front eye is you're gonna basically detect this disk. Your down eye is basically gonna detect this color. Okay, matte at the bottom, or which looks like a box, whatever. Okay, which one are you gonna use? All right, let's look at this view from the top. Let's refresh that. Try and observe a pattern, because if you look at this, if you draw a line for example, like if you connect this line to this corner, okay, you would observe a certain angle here. And if you connect this line to this, you observe a certain angle. So if I came here, if I turn right, I would be in line with the blue. If I turn left, I'll be in line with this. Now, try and observe the pattern and see where you should turn when you hit the green, where you should turn when you hit the blue. Remember, you got to cover all the 8 stations. Okay. Once you observe the pattern, you would realize which station comes after which one and which one comes next. It would be automatic once you get the pattern. And eventually, once you hit the red, you're gonna stop. So you got to decide what has to be, which condition has to be within your while loop for a while loop to run. Okay, and what command has to be outside the while loop. What would be your conditions within the while loop? Whether you need a nested if-else statement. All right. So that would be 3 conditions. Figure that out. Shouldn't be that difficult. I think I've spoken way too much than I should have. I've given you far too many clues. So all the best. I'll look forward to seeing you in tutorial 13 where I'll be going through the solutions. All right. Thank you very much for listening.